Hello again. I wonder if anybody else noticed with alarm that PayPal are closing down the accounts of people whose views run counter to modern and supposedly progressive opinions. Free Speech Union? Away with you, what need have we of free speech? A group claiming there are only two sexes. We don't need their custom. Of course, in a world where the actual use of money is declining, and almost all transactions are electronic, the loss of a facility like PayPal can deliver a mortal blow to a small organisation. But I dare say that was the whole point of PayPal's actions. Social media sites are also planning some changes because they have in recent years, and particularly over the last few weeks, been the recipients of some pretty bad publicity. The Alex Belfield case is being milked for all it's worth by people in the mainstream media like Jeremy Vine. These journalists and media personalities are hardly neutral in this debate because they have a vested interest in seeing that the reporting of news and commentary on the news remains in the hands of newspapers and television stations. Meanwhile, the case of Molly Russell, the 14-year-old girl who took her own life, is in the news a lot. She spent a lot of time on Twitter and Pinterest before her death. The take-home message being promoted is that social media sites must clean up their act because all kinds of people, from oily television personalities to innocent schoolgirls, are suffering harm because of a lack of regulation. This is a very dangerous idea. Until the coming of the internet, the only views which were widely publicised were those of people who had access to or were approved of by newspapers and television. The average person could write letters to the newspaper, but most of the time these weren't published. Today, anybody can start a YouTube channel, website, blog and so on, and immediately have his or her opinions visible to billions of people across the world. Of course, some of these people starting channels and publicising their ideas will be dangerous lunatics. But the idea that we should start trying to limit or restrict access to expressing views on the internet because some people are going to say unacceptable things seems to me a dangerous idea. In the first place, who decides what constitutes an unacceptable view? I might talk on here about a personal experience of, say, being depressed and considering suicide, and then a teenage girl might watch my video and feel that she too ought to think about ending her life. But that wouldn't really be my fault. The local library contains books on the subject of suicide, as well as everything else under the sun. Should we forbid access to such works, lest they influence young people in that direction? Few people would really think that a wise or healthy move. But surely social media are different. Don't teenagers spend more time on their mobiles than they do poring over library books? Well, some do. I didn't allow my own daughter a mobile telephone until she was 16, and she could only access the computer in the living room where the screen was visible to all. So the question did not arise there. That's because when she was under 16, she was a child and I was her parent. So it was my responsibility really to keep an eye on what she was doing and to have some idea of what kind of material she was looking at, whether it was books or websites. I think that expecting the government or social media sites to take over the role of parenting by ensuring that nothing unsuitable can be accessed by children is taking things a little bit too far. In the same way, Alex Belfield might have been an annoying and malicious idiot, but when we see television personalities speaking out and denouncing Twitter and YouTube for his material, we know that those people have an agenda of their own. I think that combined with some things going on at the moment, for example, the online harms bill, which is still rumbling its way through Parliament, we need to keep an eye on this and make sure that we're not panicked into making some injudicious moves for restricting free speech.